accepted.
Hey guys, welcome to the Tech Capital World, Kernersville, North Carolina. My name is Bobby Davis, and I'm founder of Foundry. Hey Kevin, are you ready for some more snow, or is it going to miss us?
Oh, are we getting another storm? Did I miss
There's
that?
a giant storm coming through, but I think it's going to miss us though.
Okay. It normally does. We're behind the mountains, right? So we get that, like, the
Yeah.
mountain stoppers. So it's normally quite nice. We normally don't get hit too bad.
Yeah.
So, no, I didn't even
But
know
we
we're getting
might-
another storm. I thought we were done with winter. We've had our one batch of
No,
snow.
not
What are we
yet.
doing? What's happening here? We don't need any more.
Right.
It's just wrong. So yeah, we're on a normal time schedule today. Thursday at
That's
noon.
it. Back on schedule.
Yeah. Oh, look at this.
Ready to
Look.
roll.
And we're being watched on the Quest. Look.
Wow.
What's that?
Okay, Ridge Rider, I feel you. That's kind of cool.
I watched back one of our videos on the Quest and I was like, oh, this is a good experience. Watching YouTube on there is actually pretty good. It's like, it is. You get that like
cool.
big screen. It's like, sit back. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Is that the new way to watch it? Is the new way to watch YouTube is on there?
That's it. Watch
Oh, it's
YouTube
pretty
in the
cool.
Oculus.
I like it. It is very cool.
People
So
say
yeah,
it's
we'll
not
do.
gonna take over. It's going to take over.
It's funny. First story I'm going to talk about. So we'll talk about it in a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
We'll do use your Q&A today. Throw them in chat. I'll queue them up, and we'll get to as many as we can, just like normal. If you want to guarantee an answer to a question, super chat it, and I'll go over that again in a little bit.
Yeah, buy
as
some
well.
tacos if you just feel like that we're looking a little peaked today and we need some tacos. You can always super chat us some tacos.
Yeah.
So
Couple things I saw just to get us going here to talk about, because we don't talk about this near enough. But
no.
tech that will invade our lives in 2022. New York Times. Guess what the number one thing was? VR.
Yeah, VR. The metaverse.
I like this banner. I think it's cool. This is good. This is good design. This little. I don't know what this is actually. Little gift or
Yeah, that
something.
battery going out is kind of an Oculus thing right there.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Battery life does need to be improved. But hey, strap-on batteries work awesome. Like it has gives you like a 10-hour battery life on it. It's pretty good once you get an extra one on it. But yeah, so they put New York Times had metaverse, VR, whatever you want to call it these days, to be the number one thing to invade our lives. Smart home was number two, which I thought was interesting. More and more and more.
Yeah.
I find myself having more and more stuff in the house that's listening to me that I'm talking to.
The big enhancement here that the problematic is the different protocols. Like, so you get some light bulbs and they just don't talk to each other. You got Zigbee and just the different protocols for lights. And then, you get your home system. You're like, oh, okay, I got my alarm, but then it doesn't work with the door lock, like it's just, it's really fragmented. So once all of that comes together, and you have like a house OS or something like that, and then
I think every one of the big companies, so Amazon, Google, and Apple are all trying to pull as many devices as they can into their ecosystem. So I know with Apple, so I use Apple, I use HomeKit. So HomeKit is their thing there. I try and buy as much HomeKit compatible stuff as possible so that it does all pull into one central thing. Even though it has a separate app and everything, it tries to pull into one central thing, which is kind of nice. But there's still only certain hardware has that. Some still doesn't. I want everything to be on there. My thermostat, my TV, I want to turn the kettle on, right? I want to be like, cup of tea, like in 5 minutes, right? And I want that to like work, but it doesn't yet because there probably is one. But it has
Jarvis, Tony Stark Jarvis is what you want. So
that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what. And we're getting closer.
House party mode.
We're getting closer. Connected health, they put as number 3. Super cool. Like the Apple Watch for me is like it's nuts. The fitness stuff that it does, the sleep tracking that it does, the heart health stuff that it does, it's kind of crazy. So those, they picked that as being number 3. I get it. And then Fitbit moving on in that area too. And then electric cars. I think electric cars 2022 is the year. I see it.
I think you see a lot of them, and they do mention the F-150 Lightning pickup truck. And Ford's doing a good job. I'm a Ford fan, obviously.
They've doubled down on that production. Did you see that story?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
People are buying them.
We'll see if it's expensive, man. But hey, it's electric. I get that. And then we'll see if that happens or not. I do think it's coming. I don't. This year, you're
I
going
gotta
to see a
say,
lot of
for
these
me,
sold.
so I bought a new car 2 years ago. I'm on my 3rd year of my car. This will be my last year of this car. I'm gonna get a new one at the end of the year. When I got it last time, I was this close to getting a Tesla, but I was like, the infrastructure kind of put me off, and I needed to go a little bit more longer haul, and I was like, I don't kind of like that idea. This time, I'm no question, I'm gonna go electric. I just know I am. It's perfect for what I use my car for.
Right.
The way that it is now, it is absolutely perfect, and I'm in. So I got to imagine a lot of other people are in my same kind of thinking. I'm not alone in that thought. So I think we're going to see a lot of electric car sales this year.
So once the local Sheetz, which is the convenience store around here and in the southeast, gets some charging stations,
the one has one. On the other side of Kernersville, that has like 4 Tesla charging stations.
Okay.
Over there by the freeway and on the way into Greensboro. Like, they don't all have it yet, but that one does. I've seen Teslas charging.
They have to be Tesla though. So if you got something else, you're in trouble.
Well, that's true.
You know, so like we'll have to figure what that's going to be. So maybe Tesla wins the charge war, and everyone has to have a plug that matches that thing. So
see, I'm okay with that. If they want to own the infrastructure and then everything else can just become compatible with it, and there's some kind of cross share thing, I'm okay with that too. If the Fords want to go plug into the Tesla infrastructure, cool. Just have a little adapter, whatever it is, and it just works, and you pay through Ford, or maybe you pay an upcharge to Tesla or something, or whatever it is. I'm okay with that.
It really feels like the old cell phone days. Remember that? Every time you got a cell phone, you had to get a new charger.
Well, that's true.
Apple will change the charger every time they release a new car. You know, that's what they're like, well, we got a new charger.
Yeah, that's true. Like, but maybe Tesla with the infrastructure, though, is like the new kind of Shell, right? They're the new gas station, if you will, whatever, right? They're the new power station. They don't have to just have the cars. They can also have the power infrastructure as a separate thing. And they're just the new way to charge, and everybody you just pay.
Could bury one of those like little small nuclear reactors, Toshiba makes them, like meant to work in third world countries. You just stick it at your sheets, and then just
maybe
power.
Maybe that's what it's gonna be. I'd like to think it's more solar power. Kind of better.
$25 million, but that's not.
Maybe it'll all be run on solar. Maybe that's the next thing too. Maybe I don't know. We're in a sunny state. We could power a bunch of stuff there. So yeah. Here you go. So maybe this is a thing. Plans on opening charge to vehicles based on demand. Yeah, and I think there will be demand, and I think they're setting themselves up to be the next gas giant of electrical power. Yeah. You're not going to have a Tesla to charge at a Tesla station. It's just silly to think they're not going to always be in that thing. They're always going to want to license it out. Of course they are.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So it'll be kind of cool.
We'll see. But again, Tesla, just a big computer on a giant battery with 4 wheels. So, as a developer, you got to think electric cars are an opportunity too. They're all moving more towards a moving computer.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. We talked about this, the new Ford Mustang, which is really not a Mustang. It's really the electric Mach, whatever they're calling it. It's like it's a
little mini SUV looking thing. Yeah.
And so I was watching the whole walk around. This guy's like pitching the car and everything like that, and he goes, and the screen is 1 inch bigger than the Tesla screen. And that's by on purpose.
I think it's great. It is like that little one-upsmanship, isn't it? It's like our screen, 1 inch bigger.
It's 1 inch bigger on the diagonal. So
that's funny. That's a selling
sold,
point.
Ford. Go get me the Mach-E. So
I think that's funny. Let's see. N17 Hero says, as soon as reasonably priced electric cars, and we were talking about this too the other day. Yes, price is going to be a factor. Tesla's kind of working with that with the model. What do they have? A model? Oh man. They have a new one coming out that's going to be 20 something is the kind of price point they're trying to hit. So it's like, yes, I get it. And not everyone wants SUVs except in the US. Everyone literally wants
America,
SUVs.
baby. We got to have an F-150 Lightning, baby.
Trust me.
We got to have a giant truck.
It's crazy here. When I went to get my last car, they had like cars there, right? I have an SUV and they went to get, and they have cars there. And I was like, oh wow, these are cool. He's like, yeah, nobody's buying them. Like, they've sat here for ages. Like, nobody buys the cars. Everybody's buying SUVs. We can't keep them in stock, but nobody wants the cars, with the exception maybe of now.
Truck. They cannot keep a truck on the lot, man. I mean, like everyone buys those trucks as soon as they come out.
So I'm assuming N17 Hero is still in the UK. I'm not sure, being a Spurs fan, but in the UK it is a little bit different. Roads are smaller there. Parking lots are way, way, way tighter there. It always shocks me every time I go back. was like, you couldn't drive an F-150 there and like park it in half the parking spaces. So I don't know if that's the same way in a lot of the world. But yeah, it's just
so
it's massive.
wide and long.
It's massive. Yeah. So. But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Yeah, those 3 or 4 things that the New York Times had as their top things, with VR and AR, I guess, technically also being, because they're saying metaverse
AR
is the number one thing.
Is the leapfrog technology for that. I think VR has proven what can happen. I think AR is the next.
It is, but I think also VR getting mainstream adoption too is still a thing that it needs to get. Yeah. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah, I look at VR like Laserdisc. You know, it's really cool, and then Blu-ray's coming, man. You know, that's what AR is. So.
Oh, I like that analogy. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. VR's the Laserdisc of movies. That's funny. Let me see here. Keep throwing your questions in chat. We'll get to them here in a second. I promise. Yeah. Just while we're talking about a couple things up front. I saw this story too. I just thought this just popped up in my feed. I was like, wow, this is kind of nuts. Italian mafia boss caught after Google Maps sighting in Spain. Here's like the picture, look outside the little store. I was like, wow.
He's literally shaking this guy down right now. That's what he's doing. You know, your shop could catch on fire. And I hate to see that happen to you. So
allegedly,
I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen.
Allegedly, I'm not Mr. Gamino. I'm not saying that. I know he's watching. Like, that's not what we're saying. But yeah, just this is kind of crazy, isn't it? The lack of, I guess, like, you know, you have no privacy these days. And the fact that somebody caught this is kind of nuts. With the amount of data that is on Google Street View.
This is what he's telling this guy. He says, you know, I really like your mom. She's a really nice lady. I hate to see her cry. You know what I'm saying? I hate to see her cry.
Kind of nuts. Street View for the win, I guess. And then one last thing I want to talk about, because I've been working on a little something. You asked me to fix something up for class. I'm going to be talking about this in class this afternoon. But I found this cool site. So you asked me to fix up something in Photoshop, and I was like, cool, but I want other people to be able to have like the power to be able to do this too. Yeah. So I came across this cool site. And actually, let me close this, and I'll show it you from the beginning. It's called, I don't know if it's called Photopea or Photopea.
I would say Photopea. Sounds cooler.
Photopea sounds right, doesn't it? Photopea sounds a little bit weird. But Photopea, it's like an online Photoshop, basically. And it can do a bunch of the basic stuff that Photoshop can. It's ad supported. You can see the ads down here on the right. But you can open PSDs from here too, and pretty much any image. So if I go to open this, look, I can open an image that I just had open here. If this was a PSD, it would actually have layers too, so I can work on layers just like I can in Photoshop. The other great thing is if you're already familiar with Photoshop, most of the keyboard shortcuts work.
It actually looks like Photoshop.
Looks like Photoshop. The tools are in the same place and everything. It's like, I had no problem just like becoming familiar with this. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like if I hit Commando on the keyboard, by the way, it opens an open window and opens another file. Like it literally has the keyboard shortcuts for Photoshop too, in context. Mm-hmm. So some simple things it can do, like if you want to resize this as a banner, which is what we're working on, you can have like obviously free resizing, or you can do like ratio sizes. So if I wanted to make this, let's say, I don't know, let's make it 375 by
put it on the small breakpoint,
right. So it's on like that one. It's on that breakpoint. Like I can then my banner, I want it that size. Cool. I can crop it. Bam. I now have an image with the correct aspect ratio. And then if I want to save it out, I can just go export, and I can save it out as a JPEG, and I can do the same thing here, because now I have the same correct aspect ratio. There we go. That's my 375 by 150. I can then save that locally as a JPEG. It shows you my file size and everything. It's very, very cool. For an online tool that is free, totally free, ad supported.
If you want to get rid of the ads, you can pay them.
You can pay. You can go up here to account. You can pay. It's a premium thing, $3.33 a month. And all it does is really get rid of the apps and take your history back. Which, by the way, if I just want to undo that, Control-Z works. Like, it's impressive. It's very impressive. You have multiple files open. Look, dude, like this. You can do some basic things. You can do selections, and you can do, it'll do gradients and stuff, and you can do all kinds of cool stuff in it. Worth checking out. That is Photopea. I'll put that in chat.
And just to let you know, we're not repping that because they're paying us. We're just like
oh no, I just think it's a great tool.
We're inside of the boot camp. We're showing people breakpoints this week, and actually, we're going to build another course in the self-paced course that covers these kind of art direction type problems that people run into. So we're showing them right now, like, hey, if you don't have Photoshop, here's something you could use, and this is what you need to do.
Yep.
So it's kind of cool. We're excited.
You're learning a little bit in there too. Like those skills will transfer to Photoshop. Like it's exactly the same skill set. Like it's the same tools and everything.
Exactly the same.
It's impressive. While I'm sure it's not fully featured, you can also open Illustrator files in there too, by the way, and raw images. So it does so much stuff. I was impressed.
Then it saves to PNGs, has transparency, saves to JPEG.
Yep.
So it's not Microsoft Paint, when people are trying to edit images.
No, not at all.
Just like,
it's way better
than like
that.
pro level. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and totally free. I was shocked when I came across it, because I was like, is there like a version we can suggest to people if they don't want to buy Photoshop? Maybe they can buy a standalone app. I know there's GIMP. I'm not a big fan of GIMP. I've tried it. It feels a little dated. I just don't really like it. And this is an option where you don't even have to install anything. And if you just want to crop something or just edit something real quick, bam, you're online. You throw something from your local machine up. By the way, it also has Google Drive and Dropbox support, so you can pull in stuff from those as well. It's cool. I'm impressed. I don't know how much money they make on being an ad-based platform like that, and just giving that away for free, or how many pro users they have. Maybe they have enough people supporting it that it makes money.
Yeah.
I don't know. So if you use it and you like it a lot, of course, you can throw them the $3.33 a month too. You want to? I think that's a pretty good deal.
Bad. I like
it. Good deal.
Photopia.
Cheaper than Photoshop.
You like it? Yeah. Well, tip for the day from Coder Foundry.
There you go. There you go. But as a developer, you do need to work with images.
Yeah, and this is a good way if you don't have a Creative Suite, just get that, man.
Yeah.
Look like a hero at work. Like, man, how did you do that?
Exactly. You're doing something on the front end. It's kind of like you often do have to work with images. You don't always have a designer on staff that's like handing you all of the assets in the correct formats and ratios.
They don't. Yeah.
Right. Somebody says like, put a stock image there, and you go download that stock image, and firstly it's massive and it's all the wrong size, and it's like there's no transparency. It's like you got to figure that out.
It's 5,000 pixels wide at 300 DPI. It's like
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Top tip: do not put that picture on your website. You need to optimize
press that sucker down.
Yeah. Funny. Okay, let's do some questions.
All right, let's see what's I got.
Let's see. Oh yeah, it's a quick reminder too. Yes, Canva as well. Good online tool creating images. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I
see Canva as more as like a quick creation tool if you want like a little banner or something, or you're just creating it from scratch or something. I think Canva is great.
We'll put the Canva link down in here if you're interested.
We actually suggest Canva. Yeah. I don't know if I have it. We actually suggest Canva in the course too, because it's great. It's just you don't have to be super creative. They have a lot of templates you can use, and again, much of that's free as well. You don't have to pay for that either. So yeah, good stuff. Thanks for the suggestion and reminder, Scott. Yeah. Okay. Some questions. I am from Northeast in America. Okay. My question today is: does Coder Foundry offer, I guess, options available for data structure and algorithms? Many IT companies here use it for candidate filter.
Currently, right now, we're
all the time.
Yeah, we get this a lot. So you got to understand, like our self-paced courses that teach you how to code. We are working on something called prep.coderfoundry, and that'll be coming out sometime in the future. We don't have a date on that, and that'll cover some of these problems. So, but again, we're going to lean towards right now. You go to self-paced course, we're teaching you how to code, how to build websites. So while I understand that they're pre-interviewing for data structures and algorithms, Geek for Geeks, Leak Code, those kind of companies are covering that stuff, but they're not also teaching you how to build a website. That's what we want you to do, because eventually you have to do the actual job. I mean, you're not going to be doing, data structures and algorithms as the job. You got to like use that knowledge and actually build a website or build a Windows app or build a mobile app. So we're teaching you how to build the application at this point, but we do see the need for prep. Our prep is a little bit different than most. And so, but it will have those elements in there as well. So look for that in the future.
Yep. Let's see. Jose says, I have a question. Do you know of any resources we can look at for metaverse app development? Does Unity support it?
Yeah, just Unity. It's game development. You need to learn how to build a game, and then you do that with Unity right now. That's the best option for an indie person just starting out, one that's tip their toe in the water. Unity is the way to go.
I would also say there's a
thanks, Sean.
Sweet, thank you. I want to stop by and see how second it worked. Well, thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We get some tacos. All right.
I'll also say there is this website too. Look, you can go to it's developer.oculus.com.
Yeah.
I would suggest, like, if you want to build VR apps, I highly suggest getting an Oculus, just because the price point is so cheap and the development is so well thought out for this stuff. It's like the barrier is so low to get into it. It's like they literally give you everything right here. It's great. Like, they tell you exactly how to do it. They have you build your first app. Like, it seems pretty. I'm gonna play with this. I think it seems pretty simple to get into. And they have it all packaged right here. So this is it's developer.oculus.com. I'll throw that in chat because it's the cheapest device to get you going.
Their examples, I'm understanding, right?
Yeah. It's the cheapest. It's the cheapest way to get going too. It has the most adoption too. So, and it seems pretty straightforward. I watched some things on this. I was like, this seems, pretty easy.
Population 2.
I'm just gonna go straight for 3. Somebody's probably already working on 2.
But Jose, yes. Yeah. Unity, yes, the way to go. Yep.
See if I can get that look down there. There you go. Okay. Ali says, is Blazor the future of front end?
I think WebAssembly, I think that's what you're going to be looking at. And so we're building course materials right now. I was just in there talking to the staff before the show come on. We should start recording this week or early next week and have something Blazor out for you in short order so that you can start looking to like how this is going to work. And so, I think you're going to see a lot of Blazor projects. Now, once you adopt a Blazor project, you have to build the front end in Blazor. And so like, it's different than what you're normally used to. So like, so if people adopt Blazor, it's going to be the future of front end development. So you need to learn how do I style it? How do I work with it? If I can't use my JavaScript library out of the box, what do I do? So those are the kind of things that we're discussing right now, how to make that work. Because the front end, it always comes back to the front end because that's what people see and use and interact with. So you need to be able to kind of manipulate that. Is that future next week? I don't think so. I mean, but just look at Blazor increasingly be more prevalent in all projects. And so will there still be HTML, JavaScript projects out there? Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely in the short term, next 12, 18 months for sure. That's going to be the dominant way it's built, but you're going to start seeing more and more WebAssembly and Blazor type apps coming up. And if you happen to get on one of those projects, you can't use the same things you did before. So you need to know kind of how it works. It's a different way of doing it.
There you go. Like I said, using GIMP also it works pretty much as good as Photoshop. I will say it does, but I will say I use Photoshop for a couple reasons. Firstly, because it's probably the same reason you use GIMP is because you get familiar with it, and then it's like second nature. It's like you don't want to learn something new, especially when it's doing exactly the same thing.
Hey, thanks, Tyron.
Tyron, thank you. Yo, me again. You try and dominate the board again.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think it is the time too. I think you're right. I think having the headset, you have to own the device to obviously to get it all working and like figure it out. It's not like you can't run an emulation when you could build iPhone apps, right? You run the emulator, it's like it's almost as good. Like maybe it's not quite as good, but it's almost as good.
Really
this is very different. It's very different with a VR headset.
And also too, using a VR device in general will also spur your creativity to figure out, okay, these are the types of apps I can do, or I like that. I wish it did this and those. So if you're never ever using one, you don't own one, you're probably not going to build an app in it until you start using it, and you're like, okay, I see kind of where I could throw my hat in the ring here. So
yep, definitely. But back to the Photoshop thing. I'll also say Photoshop. The other reason I use it is because it's part of Creative Suite. So and with Creative Suite, you get Premiere, After Effecks, InDesign, all tools that I'm familiar with, and they all seamlessly work together too, which is great. So if I'm working on something in Premiere and I have like an overlay or something and I need to push it back to Photoshop, I can do it like real time. I can edit with Photoshop, edit it, and then it saves back into Premiere. Same way with After Effects and Premiere, it all works together. So that ecosystem, and I get it, it's like $50 a month. It's not the cheapest thing ever, but if you're just looking for Photoshop and something else, you can pay like $20 a month. So it's, you know, I'm thinking so. But if using it professionally, the company's definitely gonna go with something like Photoshop over GIMP. I would say.
About a mile.
It's more. I think it's more reliable too. But I haven't used GIMP in a long time. That's the last time I used it. I wasn't a fan. But personal preference. I get it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ben says, how much self-directed learning do you recommend before joining a bootcamp? Oh, awesome question. The high cost combined with the short time frame concerns me as a personal finance disaster if you fail behind in the course.
Yeah, so
Ben savvy,
you're
I
right,
like
Ben.
this.
If you fail, you typically and you don't pass, then you can waste your time and still owe to pay for a bootcamp. So the question is, how much do you self-learn? What I think you should know is, if you're coming into CodeFran, all I can do is talk about CodeFran. Other ones, I have no idea what you need to do. But like for us, we try to make sure that you're at least coded and took a course before you come in. We want to know, do you like doing this? Is this something you really want to do? We're more concerned about the motivational part of it. Like, is this a life change decision for you, or is this just something you're trying out? Code Foundry is not the place you come to just to try something out, or way too expensive. And we won't even let you in if you're just trying it out. So
we don't want you to waste your money.
Is go to the self-paced course, drop $99 for 1 month, and just go through the couple of courses. And and then if you do that for a month and you like it, you can keep going and you can build a lot of the projects. And then you come into the bootcamp, and suddenly now you have an instructor. And you say, okay, I've seen this before, and now let me work with the instructor and get some of my more deeper questions answered. So that's one route you can take. But I would definitely take a Udemy course on JavaScript or something before I entered a bootcamp for sure.
The more you know about the front-end technologies, the better. The more HTML, CSS, JavaScript you've seen and worked with, the easier it's going to be.
And the other thing I would say, Ben, is make sure that you're using an editor like VS Code and not something like Code Academy, where the only way you've done it is an online in web browser code editor. It's just not the same thing. You can learn that way and start that way, but make sure you're using something like VS Code, because there's a lot of these other skills too that people underestimate when they come in, like file management, folder creation, zip files, like all this other stuff that's really not related to coding per se, but it's how we navigate the tool and how do we move files around and this kind of stuff, and making sure that we know what we're doing. So
you have to get really familiar with something like Git early on too. Like play with that. Go get a GitHub account and figure that pod out too, and try and figure out that pod on your own and connect that up to VS Code and see how that works. Right. Because that's stuff you're going to have to figure out anyway. So you might as well just figure it out now and have a good understanding of that before you get to that point in the bootcamp. And then it's like, man, how do I do this? Like, what am I doing here? Why wouldn't this connect? Like,
shameless plug. If you go to learn.coderfoundry, we actually you can learn about Git. You can learn about JavaScript and just pure front end development in the very beginning of the course, and should get you ready to roll.
The ideal candidate to a bootcamp is somebody who has already built something and has a basic understanding. They just maybe need that extra little bit to get them over the hard stuff.
So there's 0 to hero, okay? And truly, most of the bootcamps are like, hey, we'll teach you how to code. You don't need to know anything coming in. But what in our experience is, if VS Code on the Monday the bootcamp starts is the very first time you've seen VS Code in your life, then those students typically drop in the first 14 days, and we see that because of the culture shock and the imposter syndrome and like all of the stress and pressure, and you're like, holy crap, I don't know what I'm doing at all, so come in prepped, come in ready. I think you're definitely thinking about it in the right way.
Okay, let's see. Buddhist wants to know, why do professional developers with 10+ years experience say programming languages don't matter? but no one can create microservices in VB maybe. So programming language does matter to choose.
So here's what I want you to think about. People that are senior level developers that aren't educators. Okay, let's put them in this realm. Okay, there's a difference between me being a senior level developer and then a senior level developer. I'm also an educator. A lot of times those people aren't educators for a reason, because they cannot discern or remember what it was like when you're first starting out. So one of the worst pieces of advice that I ever see from anyone that says, hey, learn whatever you want, it doesn't matter what you learn. And then when the guy 6 months later saying, hey, I'm learning 6 or 7 things at once, and they never become proficient about it.
Yeah.
So you are right that programming languages, okay, do put themselves into camps based on what you want to build. So like if you want to build a website, you know, there's some languages and some stacks that you need to know to build websites. So not everything is created equal in all of these things. Now, this is why we like C#. C# tends to be really good at ASP.NET and web development. It's also really good at desktop development. It's also really good at mobile development. So it does have you covered. But if you pick something like Python, I mean, like, you know, then it's like, okay, can you build websites with it? Yeah, there's a lot of people doing it. Yeah. Is it big as .NET? Probably not. Okay. Can you build a desktop app with Python? Maybe you could. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can. But it's probably not the way it's being done in the industry, so therefore it's not doing it. Now, you come over here to data science. Is data science Python? Absolutely, 100%. That's the choice you make. You don't pick Java to build data science apps. I mean, because no one's doing that in the profession. So even though you technically could do it, you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it the other way. So like, I do believe that the language matters based on what you want to build. So pick the language that leads to a job is what I look at, which is I want to build websites, pick the right stack. Don't just pick, hey, this is easy to learn. Learning to code isn't a generic endeavor. Learning to code is learning to code to build a specific thing. That's what you should be. That's how you should guide all your thinking. Not, I'm just going to learn to code, and if I learn to code, I can build anything. Yeah, maybe. So, you know, sort of.
Let's see. Oh, I need to go back to Super Chat, actually. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, we had Super Chat there. Tyron's on the leaderboard here.
It's going to dominate the leaderboard. Coding changed my life. I coded since I was 13. I went back at 20. Can't imagine doing anything else in my life.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's awesome.
I like it.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Tyron.
Yeah, thank you for the Super Chat. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Our next question here then. And Janie says, what new skills should I learn? Well, hopefully 2022, unless you can time travel. As an intermediate developer. So
I don't know what you know right now. So, but like,
let's say somebody who already has a job. Let's just say somebody who's already a developer. Yeah. What do you think should be the next thing?
So if you're building websites today, I think you need to look into WebAssembly. I think that could be something definitely they should look into. So that is a very quicker leap for you. If you're building desktop and mobile apps, I would definitely start looking into things like AR, VR and see how that kind of works, you know, because like that may lend itself to like, okay, I understand like how maybe these could be put together. So I think both of those are the two things I would look at if I'm already coding. Now, if you're an intermediate developer, I don't know what that really means, but like, you know, look at your shortcomings in your current job. Like, hey, what else do I need to know? Maybe you need to say, hey, I'm going to really learn SQL this year because that's something that I need to know and perform better at my job, maybe get a promotion. Maybe I need to be strong on the front end, so I'm going to invest some time into Bootstrap or CSS. So I don't know exactly what skills you currently have. And so you could look at your current skill set and how do I incrementally improve upon that to make myself more well-rounded, or you could just launch into something new like WebAssembly or launch into something new like AR, VR development with Unity. Depends on what you want to do. All right, hope that helps.
Okay. Big O wants to know AI or machine learning or web dev or DevOps. What should I do? They're in the second year of college.
If I had to pick between those three to give you the most opportunity for a job, I'd pick web dev right now, currently. 2 years from now, that could change. But between those three, I'm probably even from 2 years from now, I'm picking web dev. You know, I think you have a lot. Is there opportunities in AI machine learning? Yeah. Is there opportunities in DevOps? Yeah. DevOps is a different kind of job. It's not technically in the coding job, and I know I'm probably gonna get some hate mail on that, but like it's just a different. It's more on the network engineering support side, whereas web dev and AI is more on let's build this application, and so you're on a different team when you're doing DevOps versus web dev. Even though you have to know something about DevOps today to get your web app into production. So I hope that helps.
There you go. Let's see. Suraj wants to know future and scope of Python Django framework.
I have no idea. I don't know. It's
yep. I don't know either. Not something we keep track of.
Yeah. So I can't like future every single framework. So maybe it's big, maybe it's not. We'll see. So there's Laravel, there's Django, then you have something like ASP.NET, and then you got like React, Angular. So there's 4 or 5 of these all rolling around. They all have jobs and they all have opportunities in them. And depending on where you live, those opportunities can be bigger and smaller based on other frameworks. So
here's a funny question for me. If I have to build a data-driven, fully featured app like a CRM, what stack would you choose? I wouldn't. You know what I would do? Salesforce.
Salesforce.
Like, I couldn't build that. I know my limitations. I couldn't build that, so I would use Salesforce.
Yep.
It's that simple. What would you do? You use .NET, yeah.
You didn't ask me because you knew the answer. So
yeah,
like, come on, man.
Yeah, you'd build it.
But you can build it with other things too. I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm not saying you can't build it with anything else. Could you build a fully featured app with React? 100% you can do it. Could you build it with Python? Yes, you can do it. So, you can do it with all those things.
There you go.
But we have to pick something to build our stuff on, so we picked .NET. And it's a good choice.
That's it. Maybe if I had to build it, maybe I'd fully learn .NET and then I'd be able to build
it.
But right now, Salesforce. Let's see, what's Sean working on? Adding web API endpoints in C#.
Nice.
BS 2019 at my job. Need to pair it with Knockout JS Gross for our point of sale system, C# all the way.
So yes, funny that people still use Knockout. Like that's kind of funny.
I've not messed with that. What does that do exactly?
So Knockout is your binding framework, and it allows you to like get stuff from the back end and bind them together. And so
okay,
it's kind of funny. What I find hilarious about it is that Knockout went out of favor a while back. It's part of the Chuck Norris framework. There's Roundhouse and Knockout.
Okay.
And
right.
There's lots of things in there, in and around that. But like, I had a former person tell me that, a project I worked on, I rewrote all of it. They rewrote it all. Like everything I'd done had been replaced. And I happened to go look at said website. You know what website I'm looking at?
Yeah.
And at the time we were doing it, which was 2013-ish, something like that, it was using Knockout because that was in vogue in then, And so fast forward to 2019, I go look at it. It's still a Knockout. And I'm like, oh, so you're just trying to gaslight me. Like, you dididn't replace Jack Diddley is what you didn't do.
Yeah, because if you did, one of the first things you would have replaced would have been
Knockout. It's like, it's not a conscious choice you make in 2021. I can tell you that. I mean, like, it's not that it's bad. I mean, like, because actually the creator of Knockout actually built Blazor for Microsoft.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well-known fact.
That's cool.
Steve Sanderson. So, I mean, it's kind of cool.
It goes to show you, too, though, that like these legacy technologies do stick around for a long time. Sean is actively being paid today to work on this.
Yeah. It's hard to unbundle that stuff once you do it, so you got to rewrite the whole page and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Interesting. I like it. I learned something new today. The Chuck Norris stack. Mudacy has another question, too. Says, do you think minimal APIs in .NET are useful?
Absolutely, they're useful. Yeah, I think the other template could still be used quite a bit. We'll just see kind of when people see the minimal APIs, what type of ceremony they add back in to make it more useful. But like I can see it's definitely going to be how people build things. But it's just a template on like how the code is structured. So There's other API templates out there as well that do the same thing. It just has more ceremony already built in. So if you got something super, super complex, you're probably not using the minimal API template. But, you know, I could be swayed one way or the other. But I think the other one gives you more, it's more useful in a large scale scenario.
Okay, I just want to put this up because I think this brings up a good point that we don't talk about often enough. So, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. How do I do that in this language? Google's me every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not even just that. How do you do this in a different language? It's how do you do this even in something you maybe even understand? Like, let's say that you're proficient in .NET, but you want to do something and you're not going to remember it. What are you going to do? You're going to Google it. I think
so
there's still this weird thing about being afraid of this.
What Sean's doing here, and I want to know that this is like a deep cut into this. I'm going to go into his psyche a little bit right here from Kernersville. The fact that he says, okay, I need to do this, this, and this is part of the problem solving technique. A lot of people can't get to the point to where, okay, I need to, and they can't identify what they need to do. Therefore, they have a hard time Googling it because we get a lot of times.
I need to build an application, and it's just like this monolithic
build an
thing.
application. Like, what do you want it to do? I have no idea. So they don't go through the thought process of like, hey, I need to do this. Therefore, now that Sean does that, it's really easy to Google the answer. It's a lot of people say, how do I Google technology solutions? Like, well, what are you trying to Google for? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I need to build a CRM. Like, it's like if you Google that, it's not going to give you the answer. There's no Googleable answer to that.
Yeah, so you need to get more specific into your problem solving, walking through the scenario of like what I need to do, and then when your knowledge runs out, you're like, okay, I need to do this, and that's usually very specific, and that's easily found on the internet. So that's cool. Good job, Sean.
There's also this thing. So Sean is a working developer, by the way, just so you guys know this. He was paid to do this, and he Googles stuff. Yeah, and he shouldn't be ashamed of Googling anything either. And I'm sure he's not. It's just part of the job. And everybody does it. So don't let anybody tell you that they don't.
Right.
Every professional developer does it. I've seen people who I think are really, really, really smart, and they're like, you're going to ask them a question. They're like, oh yeah, let me just look that up. And they Google it. And it's like, well, okay, I could have done that, I guess. But, you know, that's how it works.
That's where let me Google this for you came from. It came from a coder that was being asked questions. Let me Google this for you.
and it totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Scott says, there you go. How strong is your Google foo?
Yeah, exactly.
It is, yeah. There's awesome Google tricks too. You can, there's some sources you end up figuring out as liking, I mean, love or hate Stack Overflow, that could be one of your sources. But some people shy away from that because it's, it's not always the best thing. But, it's a lot of your questions you can't find there. There's a lot of junk there too, but the cream does tend to rise to the top, so it's good in that sense. Okay, what's Randy say? Randy says is a C# mainly developer, but my boss threw me into a project in Python, which I'd never used before, but being a developer, it's easy to pick up on.
Yeah.
There you go.
I agree with that.
Yeah, learning a new language, which you do all the time. You're always picking up stuff.
Yeah,
it's like looking at new things. It's like, I get that. You go read the docs for a minute. You're like, I got that, and you're just like, oh, there we go, and you got it.
Yeah. I wonder, Randy, did you being a mainly C# developer and you started getting into Python, did you ask yourself this question? Why in the heck are they trying to do it this way? Just wondering.
Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder what the decision was. Why was the project in Python if you're a C# dev and you're working in a C# job? That's interesting.
So why in the heck? And I want to make this PG-13, but you say other things. What in the world are we doing here, man? Why are we doing Python with this thing, man? I don't understand. You got access to C#, already trained to do it, and you want to throw me back to this thing. I just insulted a lot of Python developers. Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry. Let's see. Here's a couple of people just talking about in general too. Search for answers challenges every day in my job. Yeah, that's it. Scott's another dev there, and his band to Google things I've done before. Just because there's so much to memorize. Yeah, it's impossible to remember. 100%.
Quit trying to memorize everything and just know that you need to ask questions. So we go back to Sean's thing. I need to do this, this, and this. He's not trying to memorize everything. You can't. You just need to know what you need to do. And then the things that you can, that you don't memorize, you can easily look up. So cool. Good job. Thanks, Ben.
Well, here you go. Rennie says it was a project at the company somebody had given up on.
Yeah, it's like
they tried.
Well,
why? Yeah, they tried to do it in Python.
Can you just rewrite this? You know, like, okay, you want me to fix this in Python? Okay, I'll fix it with C#. How about that? You know, so
can we just redo it?
I'm gonna rewrite it. You know, like that's what a lot of people get in trouble for. You know, they just end up rewriting it. So
that's funny. Okay, LA. I'm hoping I'm getting that correct. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Says, hi guys, thank you so much for your time and efforts to help others. Oh, you're welcome. I have a question. I want to start back-end dev. Should I start C first or just start the journey?
Just start, and if you're looking at back-end dev, let's talk about web development. Typically, you still need to know the front-end stuff. Even you're saying, I'm going to be a back-end dev. It's very, very difficult to say, I'm just going to learn Web API C# on the back end, and I'm never going to touch a web page because that stuff impacts web pages. So you need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript first, so you can learn how front end works. Even though you're saying, I'm never going to really do that, it just helps you when you're building back-end solutions about how this stuff works. Because sometimes, in some languages on the back end, guess what your format on the back end? HTML and things like that. If you're not using like a REST service that returns JSON or something like that. Using something Node-ish or whatever it is, that could be where you're actually building out HTML on the back end. So you need to know how all this kind of works if you're going to build web devs. So hope it helps.
Okay.
But yeah, just start that journey, man. Just get going.
So Aditya wants to know, as a complete newbie, how do you suggest to read the book Introduction to Algorithms? The answers on the internet are very confusing.
So I wouldn't even worry about that right now. Don't start there. Like seriously. I mean, like, this is why it is confusing because so algorithms and data structures, they're taking two concepts and they're extracting them from context. And like just in like right here, we're gonna find, you know, the quickest path algorithm, you know, like, and you're probably thinking, well, what the heck is that used for? Why would I do that? Like, you know, what the heck is a binary tree? Why do I need a transverse one? What am I doing? So I think it's better to figure out what you want to build and just learn how to build that stuff. And then once you've kind of figured out some things, you can go back to this and you can say, all right, maybe this will make more sense.
It will make more sense.
Data structures are useful, you know, but like you're going to use those anyway while you're building any kind of website. You're going to use an array or a linked list or those kind of things anyway. So
plus, if you've never used one, if you've never used an array and then all of a sudden it's this abstract thing you're talking about in the context of this data structure thing, it doesn't mean anything. But as soon as you've used one, you're like, oh, I get that. That makes sense. I can see how I have to sort that around. Like this, I can see how that works.
Exactly.
It puts context to it.
So like, you know, so when you see an algorithm question, you're like, I have an array of fruit. I want you to find all the matches in the fruit. And you're like, why is there two apples in this thing? I don't understand the context. There's no context to it. And so until you started building some websites where you had to use an array to hold data, and then you ran into a problem like, hey, I got some duplicate names in here and I don't want duplicates. I just want one unique. It starts making sense, like why these problems come out. So anyway, I think building things is way more important than learning algorithms. So Introduction to Algorithms isn't the first book you read.
Definitely not. It's gonna put you off the whole thing. Unless you're really into that.
And that's the problem, man. Like a lot of these instructors that are writing this stuff, it's like Einstein writing the intro to the physics. He's like, you know, the first thing we need to do, we need to split that atom. So let's get to that. And you're like, oh, slow your roll there, Einstein.
Day one, relativity. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know?
That's funny.
So he's just like writing some algorithms on the board, and everyone's like, I don't understand what he's doing.
And then you quit. And then you quit because it sucked.
I quit.
Because you just didn't understand.
Yeah, and you could have invented the warp drive, but someone tried to show you relativity first.
So Milan wants to know, does a front-end developer need to be a good designer? I like this question.
So yeah. So like I think so. I mean,
kind of.
So
you have to have a good eye, I would say, more than anything.
So yeah, it's just the way it is. I mean, like, so like you also have to be good with UX. So let's talk about UX and UI, user experience, user interface. So user interface is the laying out of controls. User experience is the flow through the application. I think those two things are very important too. So you need to be good at laying things out, how interfaces should work, what makes a quick path for the user, those kind of things. I think all of that's going to be good. And part of that is you got to be a pretty good designer. So if you're building web pages, yeah, you could use templates though. You can supplement, hey, yes, I'm kind of limited in this area, so I'm going to put a template on it. But then when you get in the template, you need to know that, hey, you know what? Purple and gold look good on a Lakers uniform.
Yeah, not on a website.
Yeah, you know, like, you know, and then understand things like contrast. Like, okay, I got a red background and I put like a dark black text on it. That's hot. And you're like, no one can read that. And actually red as a background element, it's awful. It makes your eyes tired. You know, so like, there's a lot of things that you just have to learn by looking at other people's work and trying to emulate that work, and then applying that style to your thing, and then you can start with templates for sure.
I think that's the thing. You don't have to start with a blank piece of paper. Definitely start with a template. Definitely start with something, but just know that you can also ruin it. So you have to have kind of a design eye.
Yeah.
Just knowing like some of those, like you say, some of those basic things, using contrast and colors and those kind of things, and just basic layout things.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an amazing designer, but you do have to have some design skills, especially because you're only limiting yourself to front end too.
One of the common questions we get to at Coder Foundry all the time is like, I'll look at someone's stuff and I'll go, and I ask a really, it seems like a rude question, but really it's like walking through the debug process, and I'll say, why is that ugly?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
because like, you and I both know that it is.
Yeah, it's just terrible. So why? Yeah. What's wrong with it? You know, okay, that stuff's not centered, or that's not left justified, or like, you know, my boxes are all varying widths, and, you know, my fonts are all different sizes, and, you know, I used red as my primary background color, you know, like those kind of things. So we just kind of help them out with that. But that's a very seemingly rude question, but really what it is designed to do is let you start thinking through the process and looking at your stuff objectively, instead of, hey, mom, look at my work. You know, isn't that amazing? You know, and so like, you know, when you do that when you're 5 years old, mom says, oh, that's a great drawing. But we really know objectively it's not. I mean, like, you know, except for the unique case of a prodigy, you know, but like, I'm sure Picasso's first drawing wasn't good. You know,
maybe it was.
But maybe it was. maybe it was. Maybe he just rocked him out from the beginning.
But I totally agree. It wouldn't have.
Most of us aren't that way.
Exactly. But it is a skill you can also pick up as well. That's the other thing. You can learn the design skill. There are rules. You can 100% follow the rules, and you can pick up the skill set. So. And
I'm one of those guys that I don't know how good of a designer I am, but I'm not awful. And all of the skills that I have are just learned. Like, I pushed myself to be good at this. Like, I'm going to make stuff that looks good.
Right.
And then I learned the things necessary to make it look good. So, and I can, even today, as long as I've been doing this, even today, I'm going back and going, okay, let's work on this, because now here's the next kind of hill I want to conquer in design or front end layouts or Bootstrap or whatever, because I want to step it up even further. So, you know,
I'll also say another thing here too, though, as the design part, don't get stuck in just the design part as well as being the developer as well. Like, you have to be able to move past that at some point. You have to put a stake in it. It has to be good enough, because trust me, as a designer, you will forever be tweaking things. Literally forever. It's never enough. So you got to be, you know, just be wary of that too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll do a couple more. Ankit wants to know React or Angular. I'll learn first.
So I have to pick one? Just pick React. Or pick Angular. Pick one.
Pick React or Angular. But it's true. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true
React's
at this point.
By Facebook Meta, Angular's by Google. They both have audiences. They both are used a lot.
Yep. Pick
one. And if you ask a React guy, they're going to say React. You ask an Angular guy, they're going to pick Angular. You know, I could just as easily said C#, neither. So
right.
That's what I would do.
Or Vue. You could have gone Vue.
But given that choice, I don't think you're going to make a bad choice there between the two.
Yeah. Right now, I would say either one you could learn, right? Let's see. Rathor wants to know, I just want to ask, how difficult it is to learn from a non-coding background?
For you, I have no idea. We don't know. I don't know for you. So just
it is an individual thing. Yeah, you have to. So
it sounds like you haven't started yet. So just try it and just see if it's hard for you or not, and then stay with it. See if you like it.
We at the bootcamp, we've had people from all kinds of backgrounds, from both coding and non-coding backgrounds, and both have been successful and unsuccessful from both backgrounds too. So we've had some of our greatest success stories have been people who have never coded a day in their life. And then some of our like ones that we like, man, that guy's gonna do great, or that girl's gonna do great, and then they end up not. It's like they had some history coming in. It's like, well, okay, I don't know what happened there, but so it's not a positive or a negative. It's just it is what it is. It depends on you. It's all down to an individual thing.
Yeah. So go take our developer quiz, and then if you get a good score on that, if you're in the high 90s on that thing, then that's probably going to be easier than most of the time. If you're like in the low 70s, 50 to 70s range, it may be more difficult. So it just depends on who you are.
I put it in chat.
Either way, it doesn't mean you can't learn it. It just means that, and also too, don't cheat it. Just go do it for real. People trying to cheat this thing.
It's pointless.
It's okay. I mean, you're not proving anything to anybody.
No, other than yourself. No, you're
just
totally
yourself.
there.
It's just for you.
Yeah.
Now, Foundry may reach out to you if you fill that thing out. Just full disclosure. But if you're not interested in coming to the bootcamp, just say I'm not interested. We're not gonna.
Yeah, that's the last time you'll hear from us.
45 man list, So, but just know that if you get a high end on it, we may call you in and say, hey, you're probably a candidate for the bootcamp. If you get a low score on it, then just know that maybe a self-paced route, some kind of Udemy courses, a longer time, slower burn would maybe be better for you. Hope it helps.
Yep. Got time for one more?
One more.
Let's see.
Go spend our taco money. Thanks, Tyron.
Let's see, what do we got? Oh, here we go. This is a good one. I like this one. Gandrava says, I want to switch my career to web development front end, but I'm stuck in my current profile, PMO, for the last 5 years. Any advice? How to get in on projects? I have basic knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JS, sorry.
So I'm thinking PMO is project management, maybe?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you're a project manager, assuming you're working in tech already. How do I get in on or project? So you need to build a project, you build a portfolio, I think, and start building things to prove, so you can have a proof of work that you can do. The cool thing is, if you're working as a project manager on web development projects right now,
you have
then having a portfolio of stuff that shows your hardcore skills plus your PMO skills, boom, that's a good match. It should be easy to transition, but you need to show them that you can do it.
Plus, I would say a project manager too. In my history with project knowledge too. Right. Plus, my history as project managers is they have a lot of connections, so you can leverage your connections in the company too. Be like, hey, you have a connection with the developers already. Be like, hey, show them. Hey, I've got this thing. I'm interested in moving into the development side of things. You already have an in.
Yeah. So we do that, and so pick up Bootstrap while you're doing it. You're probably going to run into Bootstrap. So hope that helps.
Cool. Okay, let's call this a day.
Awesome.
You got some more class to teach in a little bit.
Yeah, I got to go teach some class, and we're gonna work on images here in a little bit. So it should be fun. All right. Well, we'll see you Tuesday. And we'll check out. We got a video coming out tomorrow, I believe, right?
We do. It is. It's not uploaded yet, but it's ready to roll. So yes, it will be tomorrow.
All right. Check it out tomorrow. Give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. Get us to 100K soon. That'd be great. So good luck.
Nearly there.
Yeah. Keep coding. We'll see you next Tuesday.
We'll see you in a little bit.